you are aware that the audit results in the true statement of facts and figures and true reflection of the assets and liabilities, as well as it gives the true account of the income and expenditure, or the overall the profit and profitability and the strength of the balance sheet of any organization. And in that, the banks being the custodian of the public trust, public confidence, and we are being managing the money of the people at large, there is a greater responsibility in ensuring that these aspects of audit are given more importance, and all of us in the banking industry also look at as a welcome proposition that this audit process. So there is a need for the bankers also to reorient themselves toward this particular branch audit or the bank audit or the statutory audit. Unless you start knowing the auditor well, unless you love that proposition of audit, that process may not be much appealing. So that's where there is a lot to be done on the part of the bankers. We also request our statutory auditors to conduct regional level or such audit where, or mid-audit meeting, pre-audit meeting, where such of those responsible officers who are doing the audit process, means facilitating in the branch, who are mentioned as the nodal officers and the regional manager or the national head, are given that orientation. Similarly, the statutory auditors take the help of conducting this type of meetings of interacting with the branch auditors in the respective, because it is necessary for the statutory auditors to give a brief account of the bank where they are being holding as a statutory auditors, what is the SWOT analysis of this bank, and how are the confidence in terms of its adherence to the systems and procedure, adherence to the external and internal regulations, and how it gives quite a lot of stress on the internal management and external management of the bank. So that process enables to get into a real process of audit, and that may be the reason that your institute also takes this particular initiative to give you what is the significance of audit. So there are certain respective roles, definitely, that it again calls for very responsible and very facilitating. See, it is naturally, when it has to be treated as a welcome proposition, then naturally we are not going as a watchdog, or we are not going to find a fault, and we are going to find and facilitate and rectify and give a fair view. That being the case, the responsibility has to be understood and responsibility has to be performed to the best of our ability, so that there is an appreciable momentum and everybody understands. So that other side, the bankers are also have a respective role. So this role play have to be properly understood. So now, as the bank looks at the auditor process at the corporate office or the regional level, they also look at the proper feedback, proper reporting, and there are certain areas which are relevant for the final balance sheet to be prepared or final arriving at the profit and profitability, and there are other areas which are not really related to any materially to these balance sheets. They are only in terms of part of the long form audit, where the other regulator like Reserve Bank of India as well as the audit committee of the board looks to very crisp and very pointed reference to the aspects of certain areas of better functioning or good governance, good management principles. So that is where today the what we expect from auditor varies according to the rule. There is a branch auditors, there is a central statutory auditors. So again, the branch auditors also may look at what is the concurrent audit. Again, maybe through the responsible chartered accountant like you, normally major branches are getting into the role of our concurrent audit, and there is a consistent monthly concurrent audit, which we also request our colleagues that give more importance to concurrent audit. What is concurrent? It is on a daily basis rectification, and see that, so you get a major dependence on the concurrent audit. Similarly, of course, the statutory auditor do only the top 20 branches of the bank, and as per the certain figures of business, as a large number of branches will be done by the branch auditors. So that being the case, the central auditors will be looking at your statement, and most of the time, sometimes our whims and fancy or one type of egoism or whatever sometimes leads to little complications, and similarly the reporting may not be much pointed out. So it has to be in a better manner, and there has to be a continuous your own internal research to find that this job is done perfectly. So the one more thing is the Reserve Bank of India, who is the regulator of us. Similarly, who is the owner, majority owner, is the banking Department of Banking and Supervision, our DFS from the Ministry of Finance. They also give quite a lot of importance to this audit process. So the outside external regulators and the owners, similarly of course the minority shareholders, the entire stakeholders, particularly the shareholders, look at this process very relevant and important. That being the case, we have to do this exercise in a very transparent and in a perfect manner. So at the same time, we must know what is the challenges faced by each branch and challenges faced by each regional head, and today how the economy has been doing and what are the current pain in the system in terms of the asset quality or in terms of the external certain corporates who are not good in terms of their governance, and how bank manager as well as the people at large within the bank face day-to-day certain very challenging time. That being the case, we being the chartered accountants also, suppose we are also part of that audit process of those corporates or those companies and all that, you must be able to give a good feeling of how to go about all these issues, how to, suppose the branch manager at all level may not have the same level of thinking or same level of knowledge, or currently one issue is happening that with quite a lot of seniors are getting retired, lot of young generation is assuming role. Like our Mony mentioned, we have now recruited 11,000 people. Within a period of 2 to 3 years, they become branch managers. And we recruit a lot of chartered accountants as financial analysts or some of the under the credit specialist, and all of them, they get into the bank mode very quickly, and they work in major specialized branch where the large amount of advances are there. Now, can you find that they have got into such a high level of experience and maturity? May not be. So it is necessary one type of training or motivation as well as to give so that the next time when such process gets done, they will be well prepared. So the preparation for the audit, and that is why we normally ask central auditors and all of them, and including branch auditors, should go well ahead of the schedule, maybe in the beginning of the first week of March itself, so that what are your requirements, what type of documents you would like to see in an orderly manner, what type of relevant reports of stock audit or credit audit or other relevant audit you look at, how to find that the fair value of assets, and how to see what is the fair value of the other collaterals, and how are the other currently of course BIGC or ECGC also have been reducing their what you call coverage. So all those, and so that whether the provisioning requirements have been properly carried out, and whether it, because nowadays we find that it is not on the negative side. On the positive side, so many things could be found. So the branch manager will be too happy when you find a positive aspect, because all these are not really that because of the lack of knowledge and all, they are not able to properly do the master or properly do this type of data. So you are getting into the real little more depth as far as this, and facilitating the audit will be highly appreciated. But it may vary depending on the organization, depending on the type of people available. But the seniors who had a very good experience, most of them are now on the verge of retirement. In the banking industry, in the next 5 years, a lot of seniors will go, youngsters will be there. It may be the same case now. Quite a lot of new chartered accountants are joining the profession with a very good bright distinction, and they are also, and as rightly mentioned, similarly you have a class on technology as a tool. That is a very important. Today, all our MS is being taken by the Reserve Bank online. So the Reserve Bank even now gone for central repository of credit data above 5 crores. So the entire data relating to our credit are being taken, and with that, the entire CBS and the system of most of the things, like even what could be the likely scenario in terms of NPA, we can visualize in one quarter head and view the data to the field level, so that the field level can necessarily take to step that the relevant accounts are kept on standard. So there are the technology, because particularly even in terms of the representing the true income, one is the asset quality. The other important is also true income. So what type of, particularly now we find quite a lot of leakages. In spite of that, most of the calculations are done through the system, but if the input is not up to the mark, then the output also will not be up to the level. So naturally, if there are positive side of the leakage and negative side in the sense not properly, again, anywhere it should not be undervalued or overvalued. So that being the case, the leakage of income also becomes very relevant. And of course, from the statutory auditors, they have a greater responsibility to look at the taxation angle, look at the fair value of the fixed assets, and also to look at the currently, of course, I think the major areas of restructure assets and the implementation of corporate debt restructuring. As rightly mentioned, the bank being definitely helping the economy in terms of, unless there is a credit to GDP goes up, and unless we become part of the infrastructural lending, unless we become the part of the project lending, the economy will not come back. So that being the case, faster in the period, bank has given quite a lot of credit to these new areas other than agriculture, micro and small or mid-corporate. So that being the case, today in the bearish period, there will be definitely that some impact of that bank has to take. But the economic wealth of the country is still maintained, and at a later date, when these provisions are being released through account of recovery, automatically the bank will come back to normalcy. So that being the case, you need to really go and have a fair view of whether these things are properly understood, particularly arriving at the net present value provided and other provisions towards the standard advances, and in seeing that the entire provisions are truly correctly arrived at. So that these rules and regulations of the RBI are also to be properly understood and properly interpreted, and we must be able to have proper account of that. Other area is the risk weights, because today the capital has become very scarce, and for particularly the public sector bank, quite a lot of support is being given by the government of India in terms of capital infusion. So it is should not be that the risk weights assets are not properly calculated, and maybe that the levers, there are quite a lot of levers which can help in reducing the risk weights. Now normally to understand all these levers and see that the properly is worked out at the field level may have some more need to be properly emphasized. So you need to really come, and of course today these things are also being worked out through technology. But technology alone cannot be depended. We need to give our judgment. So that has to be properly arrived at, and so that the capital, Tier 1 or Tier 2 or whatever, as per the Basel 2 to Basel 3, the true equity, core equity and other buffers are properly represented. So these are the various aspects which audit process will involve, and for some of you who are seniors it has become very easy and you are all fully aware of that. There are some of the new juniors who need to really be given some proper account. So overall it should be a win-win situation, unless we each one, because for you also, even though the Reserve Bank gives a list of branch auditors and we get selected out of that. Similarly, the statutory auditors are today being selected on a rotation by the ministry along with the CAG and other officials, including Reserve Bank of India and the one representative from IBA. So understanding each other and be a part of this great process in the true spirit and provide true account and make everybody very, very comfortable is a very great task. And that's where I said all of you should be God blessed, and you should have a smiling mechanism, and the institution also should smile and the economy should smile. So we at this current juncture, it is a very, very Herculean task. At the same time it is a present task. So with this I am sure the proposed class or talk, most of them are well experienced. In fact, I would like to even sit here and hear, because quite a lot of aspects have been covered, primarily on the asset quality. There is advances mainly, but there is audit planning, audit certification. There is another important certification. These are all, some of the certifications are like, there are government funds coming to the bank in terms of certain subsidies. They are also to be properly accounted for. That's where the interest subsidy, wherever you are giving quite a lot of certification. And today Reserve Bank also looks at your certification as well as the other public at large looks. So I am sure it's a very responsible position, but at the same time all of us with our knowledge, experience, wisdom and practicality. One more thing is practicality. We have to be practical, we have to give, and it's not that today you are always going to see these bankers and such institutes on an ongoing basis. So we do fairly better job and appreciable job, and I wish all our bankers also a very good smile, and along with the all statutory and branch auditors and all of your fraternity, there will be always good days to face, and I wish God let bless all of you. Touching the hearts, spreading smiles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. As usual, what we have done in the past, we will continue to do in the current year also. Our members, not only they will smile, they will also keep banking smile forever in this country. Now, let me call upon P.R. Arundodi, the immediate past secretary of SIRC, to hand over a memento to the chief guest as a token of our love and affection. Thank you, Mr. Arundodi. And may I call upon C.A. Falgun Kumar from Tirupati, Regional Council Member, to come forward and hand over a small bouquet, a memento to our VMLD. Thank you, Falgun Kumar, sir. Now it's time time to wind up this inaugural session and move on to the first technical session. On this occasion, let me first of all thank CMD of IOB, Sri M. Narendra, so for your august presence here and addressing our members. With all your busy schedules, you have accepted our invitation with a very short notice. Thank you very much, sir, on behalf of SIRC and all the members present here. I also thank our Central Council member, C.V. Murali, who could help us out in getting the chief guest and also made his presence in this particular inauguration session. Thank you very much, sir. I thank all the members present here. Without your participation, this cannot be a success. I also thank the senior officers and staff of SIRC for arranging this wonderful program for all of us. Well, members, I wish you happy learning throughout the day, and without wasting much of our time, we are moving on to the technical session, the first technical session, and I request CF Falgun Kumar to coordinate the first technical session. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. You are as my guest. Yes.
Good morning to all of you. The first technical session on audit planning, documentation and certification is going to be dealt by CA Mony from Kozhikode. It's my present task to introduce his biodata. His educational qualifications are BCom, FCA and DISA. He is practicing for the past 24 years as partner of Mr. Shankar and Murthy Chartered Accountants, having 8 partners from all over Kerala and Tamil Nadu. His experience, they have handled 4 central statutory audits of nationalized banks, that is State Bank of Travancore, Syndicate Bank, Corporation Bank. Presently, Indian Overseas Bank also they are handling. He has given lectures on bank audit in several ICA organized workshops and seminars, both at Trivandrum, Kulan, many places in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. He has addressed study circle meetings also organized by SIRC on concurrent audit of banks. He has contributed various articles on bank audit to ICA newsletters, and his article on bank audit has been recently published in SIRC newsletter. He held the following positions as Secretary of Rotary Club of Calicut for 2003-04 and awarded the Best Secretary of the Rotary District for 2003-04, Chairman of the Calicut branch of ICI for 2007-8 years, and member of the TBI Core Committee of National Institute of Technology, Calicut, member of Cosmopolitan Club of Calicut, Director of Kerala Mercantile Cooperative Bank, Calicut for 2014 period. He was the President of Rotary Club of Calicut East for 11-12 and did the Best Regional President in RI District 3201. So with his brief introduction, he has got vast experience in this bank audit, and as we all know, as Chartered Accountants, though we serve the banks as part of our profession by conducting the statutory audit of the branches and the head office, we have to be careful in defending ourselves in case on a later date, if at all a risk is going to be there. To mitigate the risk, professional risk, the first topic, documentation, is more important. Right from the appointment letter, your communication with the previous auditor, the working papers, the areas how we are selecting the sample for auditing, especially from the advances. When we select the sample, what are the compulsory accounts which we are taking up? Say for example, the 5% of the advance are the 2 crores. More than that, when we select those advances, the in-depth study or in-depth examination, verification of those particular accounts, and the other accounts, whatever we conduct, the samples we take up, we have to keep evidence of having conducted the audit in the shortest time. So especially as a team when we are going with some senior partners and juniors, the communication should be clear among the audit team that total responsibility we are taking and evidencing that the risk has been fully covered. So this part is very, very important part. So we are starting the first session. Without much loss of time, I request our speaker, Mony, to start his session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kumar, for a brief introduction. Good morning to all of you. First of all, I should be very grateful to the CMD for having found time to be with this session for at least 5 minutes, because all the CMDs immediately after the inauguration, due to the busy schedule, they will leave. So his greatness and the charisma again has been brought in here. And my task is also becoming more responsible because he is sitting here. As has been rightly told by Murali sir, the charisma of a personality and the happiness he brings wherever he is something which is experienced by me for the last 10 to 12 years. As the Central Statutory Auditor of IUB, associating with him for the last 3 years, all the auditors will be having a lot of apprehensions and things to be brought before the management, and when we meet him and when we speak to him, everything is diluted and we will find that we have forgotten whatever we have asked, actually aspired to be telling him. So he will take every crowd on his way by practically, pragmatically and rationally explaining the reasons for what we are going to ask in prior to what we are going to ask. So he is a person who is able to foresee, a person of abundant practical knowledge, and I should thank him for having graced this occasion, and I should also thank the organizers for having invited me to present this planning, documentation and certifications. As you all know, starting with the saying that a person who fails to plan has already planned to fail. In chartered accountancy also we have seen that by and large, every chartered accountant for that matter is proving to the society, proving to the country that we are able to accomplish any task in a mammoth manner, a massive exercise done in around 20 to 25 days of time in terms of the branch audit and another 10-15 days in respect to the central statutory audit. And it is completed and the banks are bringing out the balance sheet for the last several years. And we can be proud to see that this is the only profession which is put to test of all the chartered accountants working together. No other professions can boast of this unique feature, where everybody is putting their efforts together to bring out the balance sheets of the bank as a whole. So this exercise is proved success, but at the same time every year somewhere or other the new challenges come to the picture. Taking the last 10-15 years down the line, we can see that every year has got its own peculiar problems faced by the chartered accountants in doing the branch audit as well as the central statutory audit. Coming from 1992, we had the computerization where we were moving from the manual environment to the computerized environment. Then we had some consolidation issues which was being spoke about, and some synchronization of the systems. Then again, so many developments came in the application softwares, and the softwares being used by the bank, the CBS environment, the TBA, etc. Then last year or some year before, we were having a lot of writing of, that is ARDRS, etc. And some mergers were spoke about, and now we are at the realm where the entire banking industry is under stress for profits, as well as the mounting of the non-performing assets. If you look at the banking scenario today, every bank for that matter is more focused on finding and streamlining the portfolio of credit, and it is becoming very vital and important that a pragmatic, as again told by the chief guest, a pragmatic, rational and practical approach has to be taken by the branch auditors and the central statutory auditors for the purpose of conducting the branch audit as well as finalizing the report of the branch audit. But at the same time, we should be giving due respect to the theoretical aspects of prudential norms, etc. So in between, our onerous task is to see that the practicality is not diluted. At the same time, the principle of the profession as well as the etiquette of the profession is upheld at its epitome. So this particular, with this particular introductory remarks, I will just go on to the first slide. The time allotted to me is around 1.5 hours. I think we are...
But now we have to...
Yeah, I have to again cut short again. Our chairman is saying that I have to cut short, no problem. So the mounting NPS, I have told you, it is ranging from 5%, it has reached more than 5%. And this NPO is again a problem for the banks as well as to the auditors. So we have to take care as to whether the presented accounts at the branch level as well as at the bank level gives a fair picture of the NPS and the provisioning concern. And at this juncture, I would like to point out a specialized factor that unlike the other audit reports we give, where we give only an opinion about the audits or an opinion about the prepared financial statements of the organization or the company. In the bank audit, if you look at the audit certifications, we are taking responsibility of the classification of NPS and the provisioning along with the bankers. So we are taking a responsibility along with the bankers for the purpose of certification. So this is becoming more important because the certification is not done or the opinion is not given for the preparation of the non-performing asset by the branches, but beyond that we are being a party to the figures which is given in respect of the non-performing assets. So that is very, very important. So this responsibility is cast on us. And again, coming to the regulator's approach, if you look at Reserve Bank of India is looking at the bankers, the auditors, very, very well and very strictly following up what are the actions and what are the action plans that the chartered accountants are doing, and they are taking all the decisions in favor of the chartered accountants and against the chartered accountants only on the basis of the performance and the quality which we produce in the bank audit or the bank branch audit. So the regulators, last year I would like to just mention you that the regulators started asking the branch managers and the branch auditors as to how a particular account has not been classified or classified as NPA or excess provisioning or short provisioning, etc. So what is happening is that earlier the scenario was that the annual financial inspection team of the Reserve Bank of India was confined to discussion with the central statutory auditors as well as the top management of the bank. Now they were straight coming down to the branch auditors and asking explanations for the judgment we have done at the branch level. So at the same time I would like to say that as a chartered accountant we have got the privilege and prerogative to judge about any aspects of the branch audit, but it should be a judgment which is based on the evidences, and it should be a judgment based on convictions, and it should be a judgment based on facts, and it should be a judgment based on the documents substantiating the judgment. Once you are able to prove that your judgment has been made on the basis of the proofs available at the branch level, once you are able to establish that the judgment has been made on the basis of the available informations and the evidences at the branch level, and once you are able to substantiate that these are all the proof I have got for making this particular judgment at that point of time, and once you are able to establish to the working papers and the documents that yes, I have done due diligence to the process of audit, I think our flesh will not be touched by anybody. But at the same time, if at all we do all the due diligence, if at all we were having all the supportings and the evidences which were available at that time of audit or the branch audit time, if you are not able to substantiate with sufficient documentary proof and evidences to see that your working papers are kept in order and the due diligence has been done is to be established by way of the reports we give to the central statutory auditors as well as to the Reserve Bank of India in the form of LFR, and also we should be able to have all the documentation in time. And the documentation has to be intact, and the documentation has to be so streamlined and processed in such a way that anybody can ask any question at any point of time where you are prepared to answer and prove that we have done the due diligence. So this due diligence is very, very important. Earlier, I would say that some of the brethren of our fraternity, were not very keen about the documentation, and CRC I should congratulate and appreciate that the first topic they have selected is audit planning, documentation and certifications. This is a very important aspect for the time of the day. Advances, we all know, we are having domain knowledge in respect of classification of advances, although some intricacies are to be refurbished every year. But at the same time, the certifications, the planning and the documentation has become a front runner now, because the profession of chartered accountancy is questioned. The profession of chartered accountancy is at the Damocles sword of the decision of some of the regulators or some of the bureaucrats on the basis of the substantiations we give to the regulators or any person for that matter when a question is asked about how you made this particular judgment. Nobody so far has questioned the judgment, but everybody has questioned the way in which it has been taken and the proof in which you are giving for the purpose of substantiating that the judgment has been done with due diligence. So in this pretext, I would again say that the regulators are looking at us, so it is not far away, or you cannot have a feeling that the regulators will not come back to you to ask you as to why or how this particular judgment has been taken. So the documents and the planning has to be so perfectly done and ordered so that tomorrow we will be able to establish and we will be able to project the due diligence in the due course of time to the regulators as well as the other authorities. Now coming to the stress for the profit, if you look at the banking industry as a whole, I will say that the banks, as you all know, works with the net interest margin. The NIM we call it. So the NIM is the profit of the bank. If you look at the advance portfolio as well as the deposit portfolio, for a bank of almost a stable size, it will be around 1,50,000 crores of deposits and around 2,00,000 crores advances. And it varies from our small banks to big banks. But the NIM remains almost constant to become around 2.7% to 3.2% according to the leveraging which and the financial management and the treasury funding of the banks, it varies. So the NIM, I would like to say that the operational profits of the bank is not touched. Whatever be the reason of the business slackness or the business upward movement, the NIM is intact. The percentage of NIM is intact. But at the same time, if you look at the profits of the bank at the bottom line, net profit of the bank is so stressed